Hey gang, Dr. G, the Imaginarium. It's Mental Health Mondays, and we're going to doing another video in our self-esteem series. Today we're going to discuss the ever-important question and endlessly recurrent question, how much is enough? This question is extremely important to your self-esteem, and I'll explain why. In the value system video, which would be the first one of this series, the link will be in the description. It's called How to Fix Self-Esteem in Under 10 Minutes. Anyway, in that video, I had you write out a value list of answering the question, what does a good person do? Now, I also said in that video that you need to make sure that it's as specific as possible. But inevitably, when I go through this with people, it's never specific enough. And that's okay, because most of us typically don't work it out to a fine degree of accuracy. But let me give you an example of why it's important to be specific for this. Let's say you're stressed out about someone that's very close to you. And obviously, because you're a good person at heart, at least I hope you are, you want to be a good husband or a good wife or a good father, a good son, a good doctor, or a good whatever it is. And say, though, that you are being plagued with feelings of guilt, or you have thoughts like, oh, I'm actually a lousy X, Y, or Z. I'm a lousy husband. I'm a lousy son, blah, blah, blah. If you have thoughts like that, then this is the solution. What I'm going to tell you about in this video here is going to help you sort that out. Now, ultimately, what I'm asking you to do is to take a real hard look at your value list and ask yourself, are you really a lousy A, B, or C? And I don't know the answer to this question when I'm working with people. And sometimes the answer is, yeah, actually, I kind of am. What I'm getting at here is that there is an inherent contradiction at play when you have thoughts like this, because obviously you want to be a good whatever it is. But if you're feeling like you aren't, well, then something's missing here, wouldn't you say? And a lot of times what I see is people saying, well, I should do more. But then how much more, right? How much is enough? That's the key question. And what I want you to do is I want you to be on the lookout for this thought process. Whenever you're telling yourself, well, I should do more, I should do more, I should do more. Ask yourself, how much is enough? Now, sometimes you may come to the conclusion that I haven't been doing enough, in which case you may feel guilty. You may have all kinds of negative feelings about that, but at least you know what you need to do from that point on. We'll get into a little bit more of that later. If you'll notice, this actually applies to pretty much everything you do, though. How much is enough question. Okay, this applies to achievement. Well, I should be doing more. I should be more productive. I should be working more. I hear this all the time. Okay, well, let's go with that, right? But how much more? Exactly. Because the problem is, if you don't have this well defined, then nothing is ever enough, which either leads you to feel bad about yourself, or it will have you unconsciously rebel against it, and you'll find yourself not doing whatever it is. And then you'll feel bad about it and you won't know why. So going through this will really help bring this into awareness, will help you to sort it out. Now, to be completely honest, when I ask people this question, how much is enough? Usually the answer is, well, I don't know. Or even worse, it's, and that's bad, right? It's not bad in the sense that it's doomed. It's bad in the sense that not knowing the answer to this question is what's causing you all the grief. But then you should rejoice, because finding the answer to it will actually help you out of this mess. So then the next question is going to be, all right, well, I don't know exactly how much is enough. I don't know how much I have to work in order to be considered working enough, say, or I don't know how much I need to do around the house to be a good spouse. That one pops up all the time, believe me. Now, you might need to answer this question, but not know exactly how to answer it, in which case, what do? You're in a quandary. Well, what you do at that point is you say, or you ask yourself, who do I trust to answer this question? A lot of times people will refer to traditional sources of, you know, family wisdom, say parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, maybe. Look to the past, look to people older and wiser. That's one way to go. But there's certainly many other ways to go if those people can't be trusted, if you feel like you can't trust them with a question like this. Because at the heart of it, you're toying around with your self-esteem, your sense of well-being, your sense of self-worth. This is a biggie. You need to make sure you're trusting the answer to this question to the right sources. Okay. You can also look within. What does your inner guide say? What does your heart tell you, right? That's what all that corny stuff in movies is about. There's a kernel of truth to this. What about dreams? If you're a dream person, say that you look at your dreams, they can give you the answer too. It's happened to me more than once. Maybe you consult oracles. Maybe you do tarot. Maybe you do horoscopes. I don't know. Whatever you trust. If you trust that stuff, go for it. Science. Sometimes science has the answer, actually. That's one of my go-tos. Obviously, if I have a big question like, well, how much should a person do? Now, sometimes the answer is not there because that study hasn't been done. Okay, another source of ways to answer this question, or ways to know how to answer this question, would be, what about a code of conduct, say? What if you are a member of a allegiance or an order or a membership of some kind that has a code of conduct, and it says, well, we should do this, we should do that. Religions, obviously, creeds, any of that kind of stuff. Now, the trick to those is going to be that they're typically worded in a not particularly specific way, and you're going to have to do the work of interpretation. So that gets you halfway there, but you still have the work to do on your own to say, does this apply? Does this not apply? Am I being honest with myself? Am I not being honest with myself? In a future video, I'll be talking about the honesty piece of this. Very important. Now, as you're doing this, remember that there's a lot of answers to these kind of questions on the internet, and there's a lot of answers to these kind of questions in the media. Take these with a humongous grain of salt, because there's a lot of stupid crap on the internet. There's a lot of stupid crap in news and, you know, various TV shows and who knows what. And I think those are not particularly trustworthy sources because there are often ulterior motives there. If it's a news outlet source, there may be trying to put some kind of political spin on it. There might be trying to sell you something. Who knows? Who knows? So use those sources with great caution. As you're assessing this, also, if you want to think about this in terms of psychological functions and types, you have your thinking function and your feeling function. This is not an exercise that is solely a thinking function exercise, because you also need the feeling function that says, yes, this feels right, this does not feel right, this feels valuable, this does not feel right. Thinking function is not going to help you much with that. My point is that you can't do this with either one alone. You need to be able to flexibly go back and forth between the thinking and feeling modes of thought. And this is another general way in which therapy helps. By the same token, you don't want to just trust inner guides only. You also want to look outside yourself. You don't live in a vacuum. You don't exist in a vacuum. You are not a contentless being floating in the void. Okay, check out the external sources too. Adjudicate them wisely. Another thing you need to do is to make sure that you frame the answer to this question in terms of concrete action. When I ask how much is enough, I mean, how many actions do I need to do to be considered done? How many different things do I need to do around the house, say, to feel that I have done a good enough job? How many jobs do I have to take? How many hours do I have to work? All of these kinds of questions. Some of this may seem or feel trivial, but it is not trivial. These will feed into your overall self-esteem and sense of self-worth. Answering it like this will also help you stay more in balance, and ultimately it will cure the ambivalence, the contradiction that I was talking about earlier. I feel like I should be doing A, but I don't feel like I'm doing enough of A. The piece that's missing here is, well, how much is enough? What's good enough? And if you don't answer that question, you're in grave danger of nothing ever being enough. Or you're also in danger of letting yourself skate by without really doing enough, in which case those feelings of I'm not doing enough are going to be coming more from your conscience and more from the unconscious part of you that's saying, you're not really living up to the values that you want. So, as a final note, I want you to realize that you're going to have to modify this. Why? Well, because you're not perfect. Okay. I'm sorry to be the bearer of sad tidings here. And it's okay. It's okay to find that you've looked at this and you realize you need to do more. Or I'm doing too much. I'm only hurting myself doing so much. Or you may find other people are asking too much. Other people may not be asking enough of you, and you're allowing that to happen for whatever reason. Okay. You've got to be ready to look at this and the answer to this question and accept the response that you get after a thorough analysis. If you aren't doing enough, well, then you're going to have feelings of guilt and feelings of negative self-worth. Yeah, but that's going to be the end of it, because now you know what you have to do to fix it in the future. Can I fix the past? No. Is it fair to ask me to go back in time and fix the past? No. What can I do then? I can work on tomorrow. I can work on from now on. And that's got to be good enough. You've got to be humble enough to say that's going to be good enough, because perfection you're never going to get. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Visit ericgoodwyn.com. Link is in the description for free exclusive content. I've got my new book coming out. You can check out the trailer for that, the cover. Just recently released that. It's a Jungian analysis of toxic modern society. It's going to be a pretty cool book when it comes out here in a few months, and I'll keep you guys updated on this. And that's what I got for you. So see you next time.